Homicide for the Holidays is a pretty exciting true crime series. I watched this on Now TV, and it's not the longest. Each season has, I think, 6 episodes, give or take. I'm not sure they're equally spread, but I love the fact that this is themed. I always like a true crime series where they are focusing on something specific, rather than just detailing random true crimes. And this one obviously focuses on murders that happen around the holidays. This is an American TV show, so it's looking at Christmas and New Year, but also Thanksgiving. And a lot of these are familial crimes, but not all of them off the top of my head. I think there was at least one that was not a familial crime. And once you get past the unique concept of it focusing on crimes around the holidays, it's pretty generic in the way that it unfolds. We have interviews with professionals involved in the case, forensics, police detectives, things like that, and also family members and loved ones of the victims. We have crime scene footage where possible. Some of it is more graphic than I expected. None of it is horrific, but they did show things that some other documentaries would shy away from. So I was really pleasantly surprised with that, and absolute credit to them. I think they handled the artifacts that they had very well. I feel like we get to know the victims well enough, and it definitely played on emotions, mainly because we do get to hear from, family members and loved ones of the victim, and they do talk emotionally, and I think it's very well edited. I think everything flows from start to finish really well. A lot of the stories, not all of them, but some of them do also involve children. Mainly, parents are being murdered, and they either have young children who were also killed or children who are left behind. It just heightens the emotional aspect, and the fact that every single one of these crimes was committed around the holidays, a time that's meant to be happy. The documentary really kind of focuses on that a lot. Of course it does. And kind of shows just how impactful it will be for the surviving family members to every single Christmas or Thanksgiving to be reminded of this horrific murder. And obviously nobody ever wants to be murdered, but if your loved one is going to be murdered, doing it around the holidays is going to be the worst possible time, because it will dampen what is supposed to be the 1 or 2 happiest days of the year where you can just relax and enjoy the things that you're thankful for at Christmas or Thanksgiving. And of course they're always going to have this reminder, and it just gives it that extra emotional level, and I think it did such a great job. In some of the cases, it talks at length about what happened after the fact with catching the culprit, and then what happened with their prison sentences, or how long they got and things. So I think it really kind of encompasses everything from the time the emergency services were alerted of the incident to the actual arrests, and occasionally onwards to the sentencing. It doesn't give away anything too much. There was one particular case which I won't go into too much, but I'll say it's the case where the car was left in a random person's driveway. So there was a burnt out, well actually it wasn't burnt out, there was a vehicle on fire, and it had just been abandoned in some person's driveway, somebody completely unrelated to this case, and they just found the vehicle in their driveway on fire, which must have been very terrifying for them. That case particularly, I didn't know which way it was going to go. I didn't know who I thought the culprit was, and it's very good at telling this narrative in a way that keeps you hooked, because I honestly thought it would be X person, and I thought it would be Y, and I kept going back and forth until of course they revealed who it was, and I think they're very good at that pretty much every episode. There's another one as well about, I think it might have been the same season actually, where a mother and her 2 daughters are also killed. There's a mother, her daughter I think maybe in her 20s, and then her youngest daughter who was 15. And there was a baby in the house who had been left in the house obviously without anybody there for a long time. Again, that case, when it was revealed who it was and why they did it, I was Oh yeah, that was a tough one. So in terms of storytelling, it's fantastic. It's beautifully done. It doesn't rely on the shock factor too much, in terms of, eerie music or jump cuts, because some true crime stories will use jump cuts even though it's not a horror film. They'll still do it. It doesn't. It's just fantastic at telling the story, weaving in crime scene footage. Doesn't really use reconstructions, which is very good, because I don't like them that often. Interviews with the relevant people, very well put together, very well edited. There were maybe 2 episodes that I found quite boring, and that's not because of the way it was put together, but just because I didn't really care. And that sounds really callous, but there was just nothing about it that kind of drew me in. But for the most part, absolutely fantastic. Truly adored it. Homicide for the Holidays is unique in its focus, very well edited, fantastic at telling the stories, brilliant at keeping you hooked, not revealing all of the information straight away. I honestly cannot fault it.